She sensed something was wrong long before she had the courage to admit it. It was the way young Rowan closed his bedroom door more quietly than usual, as if trying not to disturb the air around him. The way he stared at his shoes during dinner. The way he nodded instead of speaking, even when she asked simple questions. And though she tried to convince herself it was just the lingering weight of his mother's passing, her heart whispered a sharper worry every time she saw him shrink deeper into silence. Serena had been in his life for only 3 years, yet she cared for him with a tenderness she never expected to discover. When she married Rowan's father, Alden, she promised herself she would never try to replace the woman they both loved and lost. She only wanted to be a steady presence, a warm place, someone he could lean on if he chose to. But that afternoon, as she folded laundry by the window and saw Rowan walking slowly up the driveway with his backpack dragging along the ground, her chest tightened. Something was unraveling inside him, something that needed to be understood before it pulled him too far from them. She stepped outside to meet him, hoping her smile didn't look as worried as she felt. He lifted his head for only a moment. "Hey," he murmured. His voice sounded distant, like he had walked home through a storm only he could feel. Serena reached out gently and brushed dirt from his sleeve. "Long day?" she asked, keeping her tone light. He gave a quick nod, then headed straight toward the stairs once inside the house. His steps were soft, careful, almost apologetic. And Serena, standing in the narrow hallway with a handful of freshly folded towels, understood in her bones that quiet could be louder than any cry for help. She held back for a moment, listening to the faint creak of his bedroom door. Alden wouldn't be home for another hour, maybe longer. She wondered if she should let Rowan have space or go talk to him, but she remembered how he had once burst into tears when she asked if something was wrong, insisting he didn't want to burden anyone. She didn't want to push, but she also couldn't stand still. So she moved softly up the stairs, pausing outside his room. She knocked gently. "Rowan, I made your favorite snack. It's in the kitchen if you're hungry." There was a long silence, then a quiet, "Thanks." Not come in, not talk, just thanks. She exhaled slowly and stepped back. Downstairs, she busied herself with making tea and keeping the kitchen quiet. She wanted Rowan to come out on his own, to feel safe enough to choose it. But as the minutes passed and the sunlight in the windows dimmed to a soft amber, unease curled inside her. She remembered the last few weeks, the phone calls from his school that Alden brushed off as typical teenage moodiness, the teacher who said Rowan had been withdrawn in class, not disruptive, just absent in a way that felt intentional. And then yesterday's moment, when Rowan jumped at the sound of a falling pencil as though it had struck him. It wasn't moodiness, it was something else, and she wished Alden would see it too. When he finally arrived home, tired but smiling, Serena tried to explain quietly while Rowan stayed upstairs. Alden listened, but his brow tightened with the same defensiveness she'd seen before. "He's adjusting," he said softly. "Just give him time." Serena wanted to argue, but she swallowed her words, not because she agreed, but because she knew patience was the only way forward with Alden. Still, that night as she sat awake, staring at the shadows on the ceiling, she knew Rowan needed help sooner rather than later. Whatever he was holding inside was growing heavier each day, and she feared he was drifting to a place where neither she nor Alden could reach him. She had to find a way to guide him back, gently, respectfully, and with all the quiet love she carried. But she never expected the truth to come from someone else first, or that it would change everything she thought she understood about Rowan's silence. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Part 1 ends as Serena hears a soft knock at her bedroom door, far too late at night for Rowan to be awake, and her heart begins to race as she turns toward the sound. Serena slipped out of bed, her heartbeat quickening as the faint knock trembled through the quiet hallway. The house was wrapped in darkness, the kind that made every sound feel sharper, more urgent. She pulled her robe close and walked to the door, half expecting Rowan to be standing there, eyes downcast the way he'd been for weeks. But when she opened it, Rowan wasn't there. Instead, she saw a flicker of movement at the end of the hall, small, hesitant, almost frightened. He stood near the top of the staircase, one hand gripping the railing, the other hanging limp at his side. His shoulders seemed to fold inward, as though he was trying to disappear into himself. "Rowan?" Serena whispered. He didn't answer. His eyes were glossy, reflecting the dim light from the wall sconce. For a moment, she thought he might collapse right where he stood. She walked to him slowly, careful not to startle him. "Sweetheart, why are you awake? Are you feeling sick?" Rowan shook his head, but it was so slight she barely caught it. His breath trembled. "Can I just sit with you?" he mumbled. The simplicity of the request nearly broke her. "Of course," she said, guiding him gently into her room. Alden slept on, unaware of the small storm unfolding only a few steps away. Serena settled on the edge of the bed, letting Rowan sit beside her. He didn't speak at first. He just stared at the blanket, twisting a loose thread around his finger. She waited. After a long minute, he whispered, "I didn't mean to wake you." "You didn't," she said softly. "I'm right here. Whatever you need to talk about or not talk about, it's okay." Rowan swallowed hard. His jaw tightened in a way that told her whatever he was holding back had been pressing on him for far longer than today. She placed a gentle hand on his back. He didn't pull away. I don't know what to do anymore," he whispered, voice cracking. Serena felt the air leave her chest. "What's going on?" But he only shook his head again, curling slightly forward. She wanted to ask a dozen questions, to put the pieces together, to understand the storm building in his silence, but she knew pressure would only push him further away. So she simply said, "You're not alone. Not ever." Rowan wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve. "You're nice to me," he said quietly, "and sometimes that makes it worse, because I don't want to be a problem." "Oh, Rowan," she breathed, her voice trembling with tenderness. "You could never be a problem. You matter. Your feelings matter." He pressed his lips together, struggling to hold back more tears. She waited for him to speak, but no words came. Whatever truth he carried was still buried too deep for this fragile moment. After a while, his breathing steadied. He leaned slightly against her shoulder, something he hadn't done since he was much younger. Serena felt that small gesture more than he could ever know. When he finally whispered, "Can I stay here for a little?" she wrapped her arm around him and nodded. "Stay as long as you need." He rested beside her quietly, drifting into a troubled but lighter sleep. Serena stayed awake, watching over him, her heart aching with both relief and fear. Something was hurting him, something he couldn't yet name. When dawn approached, Rowan stirred and whispered a soft thank you before slipping out of the room, leaving Serena with more questions than answers. Later that day, she received a phone call, one she didn't expect, from someone she barely knew. Rowan's art teacher, Miss Callan, asked to speak with her privately. "I didn't want to alarm you," the teacher said gently, "but there's something you need to see, something Rowan drew in class." Serena's breath caught. She felt the world tilt slightly, as though the truth she'd been reaching for was finally within sight, terrifying, delicate, and waiting to be uncovered. And as she prepared to drive to the school, her heart whispered one quiet plea. "Please let it be something I can help him heal from." Part 2 ends as Serena walks toward the school's front office, bracing herself for what Rowan's drawing might reveal, hoping it brings understanding instead of heartbreak. Serena walked through the school's front entrance with a steadying breath, though nothing inside her felt steady. The hallways were quiet, washed in the soft morning light that filtered through the tall windows. She had been here many times before for parent-teacher meetings or school events, but today felt different, heavier, as if every step carried her closer to a truth she wasn't ready to face. Miss Callan greeted her just outside the art room. The teacher's gentle smile couldn't hide the concern in her eyes. "Thank you for coming so quickly," she said softly. Serena nodded, her palms damp. "Is Rowan okay?" "He's not in trouble," Miss Callan assured her. "I just think he may be trying to express something he can't say out loud." That sentence wrapped around Serena like a cold wind. Miss Callan led her inside. The room smelled faintly of paint and paper, and the long tables were still cluttered with brushes from the morning class. She moved toward a folder sitting on her desk, hesitating before opening it. "Please understand," the teacher murmured. "Sometimes students use art to explore feelings they don't know how to share. Rowan is talented, but lately his drawings have changed." Serena braced herself. When the folder opened, the first drawing showed a small figure sitting alone at the edge of a large, shadowy room. The details were soft, pencil only, but the emotion was unmistakable: loneliness, fear, and something else Serena couldn't name. Her throat tightened. This is him?" Miss Callan nodded. "I believe so." She handed Serena the next drawing. This one showed a house, clearly their house, yet it was divided down the middle. On one side, Rowan had drawn himself standing near a window, head bowed. On the other side was a blurred figure, tall and indistinct, almost erased. Serena didn't recognize it. She wasn't sure she wanted to. Her breath grew shaky. "What do you think this means?" "I can't say for certain," Miss Callan answered gently, "but often blurred figures represent someone a child doesn't know how to describe, someone who confuses, scares, or overwhelms them." She paused. "I think Rowan might be struggling more than anyone realized." Serena set the drawing down slowly, her fingers trembling. "I felt it," she whispered. "He's been so quiet, so distant, but he won't open up." "That's why I called," Miss Callan said. "You're someone he seems to trust. I thought you should see what he's expressing here." Serena swallowed hard. "Thank you, truly." When she stepped out of the classroom, the drawings still burned in her mind. The lonely figure, the divided house, the blurred presence. She wanted to rush home, wrap Rowan in her arms, and promise he'd never face anything alone again. But she also knew she needed to approach him gently. He was fragile right now, like something might break if she pushed too hard. She sat in her car, hands gripping the steering wheel, replaying the last few weeks. Every quiet moment, every hesitant word, every time he avoided eye contact or flinched at a sound. Something was happening to him. Not physically, she saw no signs of that. But emotionally, he was carrying something that didn't belong on the shoulders of a boy his age. As she drove home, she found herself rehearsing what she might say, what questions she might ask, how she could make him feel safe enough to speak. She imagined sitting with him on the couch, telling her she would listen without judgment, that he didn't need to protect her or Alden from his feelings. But she also knew Rowan well enough to understand he needed space, too. He needed the chance to reach out when he felt ready. She hoped that moment would come soon. When Serena walked into the house, Rowan looked up from the living room couch with startled eyes. He hadn't expected her home so early. He closed his sketchbook quickly, as if worried she might have seen something she shouldn't. "Everything okay?" he asked, voice small. Serena sat beside him, careful not to crowd him. "I went to your school today," she said softly. Miss Callan wanted to talk to me about some of your drawings. Rowan froze. His fingers dug into the edge of the couch cushion. His eyes flickered to the closed sketchbook on the table. You saw them? He whispered. I did. Serena kept her voice warm, steady. And I'm proud of you for expressing your feelings. They matter. And I'm here. Always. Rowan's eyes filled instantly, but he looked away, trying to hide the tears. I didn't want you to worry, he murmured. Oh, sweetheart, Serena whispered, her voice breaking. You never have to hide your heart from me. He opened his mouth as if to speak, finally ready to let something out, but the front door opened suddenly. Alden stepped inside, cheerful and unaware, and the fragile moment shattered like glass. Part 3 ends as Rowan wipes his tears quickly and stands up, fear flickering across his face, leaving Serena terrified that whatever he was about to share might stay buried unless she finds the right way to reach him again. Serena watched Rowan straighten himself in an instant, as if he could tuck all his trembling emotions behind one thin breath. Alden stepped inside with his usual warmth, setting his briefcase near the door. He greeted them with an easy smile, completely unaware of the delicate moment he had just interrupted. Everything okay here? He asked lightly. Rowan shook his head quickly, too quickly. I was just going to my room. Before Serena could say anything, he hurried up the stairs, his footsteps soft but rushed, like a small bird trying to flee a closing door. Alden frowned. What was that about? Serena hesitated. She didn't want to blame him or sound accusatory, but she also couldn't ignore what she had seen in Rowan's eyes. He's been struggling more than we realized, she said softly. I went to the school today. His art teacher showed me some drawings, ones that show he's hurting inside. Alden's shoulders tensed. Drawings? Serena, teenagers draw dark things sometimes. It doesn't always mean something is wrong. She met his gaze, gentle but firm. This is different. These drawings were filled with loneliness, fear, and there was a blurred figure in one of them. She paused. He's trying to say something. Alden sighed, rubbing his hands over his face. I'm doing my best. I don't know how to reach him without making it worse. Serena stepped closer, her voice softening. I'm not blaming you. I just think he needs to feel seen. He needs both of us to take his silence seriously. Alden exhaled, the frustration fading into worry. Okay, tell me what you think we should do. His willingness eased something inside her. I'll talk to him first, she said. He opened up a little before you came home. Maybe if I give him space tonight, he'll come to me again. Alden nodded slowly. All right, I trust you. But Serena didn't approach Rowan that evening. She let the house settle into its usual rhythms, keeping her voice soft, her presence calm, wanting him to sense safety without pressure. She cooked dinner quietly, made sure his favorite vegetables were on his plate, and glanced at him from time to time. He ate in small bites, barely speaking. When she caught his eyes once, he looked away quickly, guilt shimmering across his face like a thin, fragile layer of frost. She didn't chase the moment. She knew he needed time. Later that night, after Alden went to bed early, Serena stayed downstairs with a cup of warm tea. She left the lamp on beside her, the one that casted gentle glow over the living room, hoping Rowan might feel drawn to the softness of it. The house grew quiet, the kind of quiet where every emotion seemed louder. Finally, near midnight, she heard slow footsteps descending the stairs. She didn't move. She didn't look up. She kept her gaze on the cup in her hands, pretending she didn't know he was approaching until he stopped a few feet away. Serena? Rowan's voice shook. She lifted her head, offering a warm, steady smile. Hey, couldn't sleep? He shook his head, eyes glistening. Can I sit with you? Always. He sank onto the couch beside her, curling his knees slightly, like he was trying to make himself smaller. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then he whispered, I didn't want you to see those drawings." "I'm glad I did," she murmured. "They helped me understand how heavy things feel for you." Rowan's breath trembled. "I didn't draw the blurred person because they're scary. I drew them because I don't know who they're supposed to be." Serena's heart tightened. "What do you mean?" Rowan wiped his cheek quickly. "Mom was gone so fast, and then you came into our lives. I don't know where to put you. I don't know what you are to me, and I don't want to get it wrong." Her breath caught. He wasn't afraid of her. He was afraid of reaching for her. Serena's voice softened to a whisper. "Rowan, you don't have to label me. You don't have to choose anything. I'm here because I care about you. You can take all the time you need." His chin quivered. "But I feel guilty, like caring about you means I'm forgetting her." Serena's eyes filled. She placed her hand gently on his. "Loving someone new never erases the love you already carry. Your mother will always be part of you, always. And if she could see how hard you're trying to hold everything together, she'd be so proud." Rowan broke then, not loudly, not dramatically, just a silent, shaking exhale as tears slipped down his cheeks. Serena held his hand, her heart aching with both tenderness and sorrow. After a long moment, he whispered something that made her breath stop. "That's not the only reason I've been scared." Part 4 ends as Rowan wipes his tears, looks up at Serena with trembling eyes, and finally begins to reveal the deeper truth he has been hiding, one that may change everything she thought she understood. Serena's heartbeat slowed to a soft, worried thrum as Rowan lifted his gaze. His eyes were red, fragile, and full of a fear she hadn't been able to name until this moment. She kept her hand on his, giving him quiet permission to take whatever step he needed. He swallowed hard. "There's something I didn't tell you," he whispered. "Something that started a while ago." Serena steadied her breathing. "I'm listening." Rowan drew in a trembling breath. "After Mom died, people treated me differently. Teachers, neighbors, even some kids at school. They kept saying how strong I was, how brave, how grown up." He paused, voice cracking. "But I wasn't strong. I was just lost." Her heart ached. "Rowan, you went through something no child should face alone." He nodded, tears gathering again. "I kept everything inside because I didn't want Dad to see me fall apart. He was trying so hard to stay positive. And when you came, you were kind, too kind, and it scared me." Serena squeezed his hand gently. "Why did kindness scare you?" "Because it made me feel things," he whispered. "Like maybe it was okay to talk, maybe it was okay to move forward. But every time I felt that, I told myself I was betraying her." Understanding wrapped around Serena slowly, tenderly. "You weren't betraying anyone," she said softly. "You were healing, piece by piece. Healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering how to live with love in your heart, not pain." Rowan wiped his cheeks with his sleeve. "That's not all." Serena felt a rush of worry, but she kept her voice calm. "Take your time." Rowan stared at the floor. "Something happened at school. Not something bad, just something that made everything feel worse." Serena waited. "My friend Nolan stopped talking to me," he whispered. "We used to sit together every day. He helped me with stuff, but then he said I looked sad all the time, that being around me made him feel heavy." Serena felt her chest tighten. "Oh, sweetheart." Rowan's words tumbled out faster. "After that, I stopped talking in class. I didn't want anyone to feel burdened by me. I didn't want anyone to think I was too much." Serena's eyes blurred. She moved a little closer, not touching him yet, letting him choose the moment. You are never too much, she said, her voice warm and steady. Your feelings don't scare me. They don't burden me. And they certainly don't make you undeserving of friendship or love. Rowan finally leaned against her, head resting on her shoulder, a gesture filled with quiet trust. I don't want to feel this way anymore, he whispered. Serena wrapped her arm around him gently. You won't feel this way forever, and you don't have to go through any of it alone. They sat together for a long time, the room lit only by the soft lamp beside them. The silence felt different now, no longer heavy, but healing, like the calm after a long, uncertain storm. Eventually, Rowan pulled back slightly, sniffing. Do you think Dad will be upset if he finds out I've been hiding all this? No, Serena whispered. He'll be worried. He'll want to help, and I'll be here every step of the way. Rowan nodded softly. Can you tell him with me? Of course, Serena said, whenever you're ready. He let out a shaky exhale, then reached for his sketchbook on the table. I want to show him new drawings someday, he murmured. Ones that aren't sad. Serena smiled warmly. They'll be beautiful, just like the strength you showed tonight. For the first time in many weeks, Rowan's shoulders loosened. He curled slightly into her side, calmer, lighter, as though part of the weight had finally lifted. Later, as Serena tucked him into bed, he whispered, "Thank you for being here." "Always," she replied softly. When she stepped out of his room, she saw Alden standing in the hallway, half awake, concern etched across his face. "Is he okay?" he murmured. Serena nodded gently. "He's hurting, but he's opening up. We'll help him, together." Alden's eyes softened with gratitude. He took Serena's hand and held it, quietly. In that dim hallway, filled with both uncertainty and hope, Serena realized something beautiful. Healing had already begun, not in grand moments, but in quiet, midnight ones like this. Moments where love, patience, and understanding slowly rewrote the story of a boy learning to breathe again. And Serena knew she would walk beside him through every step of that journey.